Hey y'all, Devin the Albino Jackass here, and today we are going to take a look at Fallout 3. Behold its majesty. Now, before I get into that, I do want to address one thing. Now, being legally blind, I'm going to give you a couple of tips that I use to help me enjoy video games and be able to participate in this media. Well, the first thing is limit glare. That seems kind of obvious, but these LED TVs especially, any bit of glare hits them, it ruins the picture. I can barely see a thing. Number 2, auto-aim, or VATS in Fallout, is your friend. If you have a game that offers auto-aim and you have some sort of vision problem, take advantage of that, man. There's no shame in it. Don't let anyone pick on you for it. Use it. Number 3 would be adjust your contrast settings to what best fits you. My settings may not be best for you, they're best for me. And that's the thing about when it comes to light sensitivity and visual impairments, is it's not one size fits all. I'll give you a quick example. I typically make the Pip-Boy colors for in Fallout. Instead of green on black, I typically make it yellow on black. It gives it that little bit of sparkle that really helps it pop, and I can see it better. So those are some quick tips that I have. Hopefully that helps you out. But let's go ahead and get into the review. And a quick rundown of the plot is you start out as the Lone Wanderer, literally the day you're born, delivered by Dr. James, voiced by Liam Neeson. Your mother dies due to complications from childbirth, so he, being your father, takes you to Vault 101. Now, your character is not aware of this, but you spend the rest of your 19 years in the vault, from infancy to your 10th birthday to when you are 16 and preparing for an aptitude test called the GOAT test, as you hide out in Vault 101. Now, for those of you who don't know, Fallout is a post-apocalyptic video game set in a world devastated by nuclear conflict, where technology advanced along a similar line to how people in the 1950s thought technology would advance. So, a little rundown of the world. But anyway, when you turn 19, your father forgets that his name is James, thinks that it's Jamal, and leaves his kid. And he leaves to go rekindle a project that him and your mother started called Project Purity. And what this is for, it is a water purifier that will ideally help purify the river of the Potomac, as the game is set in the DC area, to provide free, clean drinking water for all of the DC area. Well, they can never get it to work. And the reason they can never get it to work is they needed what is called a GEC, a Garden of Eden creation kit that came with most vaults. However, a lot of vaults were basically just places for the government and Vault-Tec to run experiments. Now, the antagonist of this game is the Enclave, basically the remnant of America's pre-war government. They were the primary antagonists of Fallout 2, and they are back. Now, you don't find that out till later, however. Getting off topic. So going back, you follow your father out of the vault, and that leads you to a place called Megaton, which is a junk town constructed around an undetonated nuclear bomb. It's even got a little cult of people that worship the bomb, called the Children of Adam. They worship radiation, I guess, but whatever. And in this town, you talk to enough people who knew your father. That leads you to a place called Rivet City, which is built in the remains of an old aircraft carrier, and we will get to Rivet City in a minute. But once you get to Rivet City, you are pointed in the direction of a young lady named Madison Lee, who tells you that you can find your father in Vault 112. Now, Vault 112 is a virtual reality vault. All of its residents are kept alive in stasis chambers and are basically running a virtual reality program. And the Overseer is kind of sadistic. He's an asshole, but you can set your father out either by using an override code in the simulation and kill everyone else, except for you, your dad, and the Overseer. Or work with the Overseer, do what he wants you to in the simulation, and that lets your Dad out. However you choose to go about that, you head back to Project Purity, where you attempt to get everything in order. Now, in the background, you're also receiving help from a group called the Brotherhood of Steel. Now, these guys are descendants of U.S. military survivors who normally are obsessed with hoarding pre-war technology. Well, in the Capital Wasteland, you had a huge infestation of what are called super mutants. Now, if you don't know what a super mutant is, picture the Incredible Hulk had a baby with Lenny from Of Mice and Men, and that baby had Down syndrome, and you have seen a super mutant now. So the Brotherhood decides there's too many of these things and they're too dangerous. We need to focus on protecting the wasteland. So they point you in the direction of a GEC to Vault 87. Now, before you can go, you are helping your father with a couple of ins and outs on Project Purity. When the Enclave shows up, attempts to take control of the project. Your father causes a chain reaction, or triggers a chain reaction, causing radiation to leak in, killing him and seemingly killing Colonel Dick Cheney. Colonel Augustus Autumn. Now, you flee to Vault 87 in an attempt to get the GEC, where you meet my personal favorite companion, Fox, an intelligent super mutant. And you use him to get this GEC for you, and as you attempt to leave Vault 87, you are captured by the Enclave and taken to Raven Rock, where Colonel Dick Cheney attempts to get the activation code for the Purifier from you. And before he can execute you, you are called to meet with the Enclave's leader, the big mysterious President Eden, who is a sentient supercomputer voiced by Malcolm McDowell. Now, I personally love Malcolm McDowell, so it's always nice to see him in a video game. But you are left with three options. You can either, well, before I get into that, the Enclave's goal is to use Project Purity to infect the drinking water with the forced evolutionary virus. The virus that created the super mutants, only they have weaponized it to wipe out everything that with even a hint of mutation. And you take the vial. You cannot leave President Eden's presence until you do. And you have basically three options. You can convince Eden to self-destruct, use an override code to make him self-destruct, or you can just leave him alone. And depending on what you do, you either blow up Raven Rock or you don't, to which you go back to the Brotherhood of Steel, who mounts an attack on Project Purity to reclaim it from the Enclave. Now, you were helped in this endeavor by a giant laser-shooting, mini-nuke-flinging robot known as Liberty Prime, who spouts anti-communist propaganda. Personally, I love it. And you drive off the Enclave from Project Purity, and you are left with a choice to either infect it with the FEV or not. And that's where the base game ends. Now, there is a DLC that expands upon this story, to which you take the fight to the Enclave at Adams Air Force Base, and although Liberty Prime is destroyed in an orbital strike from a satellite, you are successful in defeating the Enclave from the Capital Wasteland and saving everyone, yada yada. That is a quick rundown of the main plot, the DLCs, which are Mothership Zeta, Broken Steel, Point Lookout, and The Pit. Those don't really add much to the main storyline. They definitely add to the richness of the world. And I definitely recommend all of those as well. They're all great. I'm not going to get into each of those right now, but highly recommend them if you're going to pick up Fallout 3. Now, for my overall review of Fallout 3, it's a great game for the time it came out. To me, it occupies a similar spot as Grand Theft Auto 3, in that it pretty much set the formula and the standard for what Fallout was going to be, taking a 2D top-down game and transferring it into the 3D modern by 2008 standards. And it achieves its goal, and it does it very well. Pretty much every Fallout game still follows the formula. Where I think it falls short is your choices don't really have much of a consequence, and that's a big thing in Fallout. Your choices have consequences. I think it really falls short there. The layout of Rivet City, whoever designed this needs to design torture procedures at Guantanamo Bay. It is impossible to find your way around. I hate it, but moving on. The color palette was also a little rough to see again, but that's just me. But overall, I thoroughly enjoyed the game. It is great. The difference between a good game, movie, TV show, whatever, and a great game, movie, TV show or whatever is a good movie or TV show or video game will make you go, yeah, that was pretty good. But a great video game or whatever makes you feel like you were right there in the action, and Fallout 3 has that going in spades. But highly recommend it. I would give it an A-. There are a couple of things that hold it back, a couple of weak dialogue options. I thought the Enclave was not fleshed out very well, kind of a lazy Bush and Cheney metaphor. But I thoroughly enjoyed the game. I would highly recommend it. And I think that's about all I can do for today, guys. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Leave me a comment down below telling me what you thought. And as always, y'all, have a great day.